Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. How can you silence your fear of failure? Coming up. What's up, legend? It's Sherman here from Geek Psychology, where I help geeks, gamers, and creatives to play life better. I know that fear of failure is something that a lot of us struggle with because I see it everywhere. I see everybody commenting about fear of failure or asking questions. How do I silence the fear of failure? And so I want to talk about how I've dealt with it a little bit. Because as a person who has moved to another country, a foreign country, Japan, where I didn't know the language, I didn't know how to communicate. I actually was not good at communicating in English as well when I was in America, because I was so shy and awkward and uncomfortable. I had to learn to appreciate failure. I had to learn to just accept what happens and keep pushing towards my goals and towards my dreams. But it was not an easy, quick shift. It was not something that just happened. Right? It was a training process. It was going from the comfortable world to the chaotic world, like within the hero's journey, right? You need to go somewhere and then actually build in new skills and talents, and that comes through failure and through training. If you never failed, your goals are not big enough, right? Your goals are not exciting. They're just bland, and you're lying to yourself that you're actually accomplishing things. So you always have to kind of scale up the quests, the beasts, the monsters that you're chasing. I can remember times when, I wanted to approach a girl that I thought was attractive or whatever, and I was just so afraid of doing it. I was afraid of being rejected. I was afraid of what that means about me. If they reject me, then that means that I am not a good person, that I am not worthy, that I am not appealing, attractive enough, or whatever it is. And that in itself is a flawed mindset, right? Because that's just something that happens. Like, you cannot communicate all of yourself in one instant, right? So that's kind of one of the mindset issues that a lot of us get into, is like, we think that if we fail, that is reflective on us as a person, on our entirety. And in reality, it's just we took an approach that did not necessarily work, right? It was the wrong approach for the time. It just, things did not link up correctly. And so we need to take that in as a learning experience. Yeah, and I know that's hard. I know it feels like the world is going to crush you, right? That you don't have enough like stability and force to maintain your composure within the world as it's like trying to break you down. Those times when I didn't stand up for myself. Those times when I didn't speak Japanese because I was afraid of failing when I first started. Like, I would just listen, and I would speak to anybody because I didn't have like the grammar. The words were not perfect in my mind. And that's an impossible standard to hold yourself to. All those times when I just didn't want to stand out, when I didn't want to stand in front of a crowd, an audience or whatever, and do my job. Because one of my old jobs was to make these speeches in Japanese and English in front of at least 300 people at a time. And I was so afraid of doing it. And so I chickened out. I would talk one-on-one to people and stuff like that, which was good. It made me feel like I was making a difference. And yet it wasn't scaled up to the level that I could have done. And eventually when I did it, I realized that I actually liked it. And so with you, there's probably these kind of parallels, right? One, that your mindset is saying, if I fail, I am a failure. Not the action, I am failing, but I am a failure. You're taking that as an identity level understanding of yourself, which is incorrect. Because I can guarantee that there are areas in your life, domains in your life where you are not a failure, where you're actually really good at those things. And probably that's a mix of some natural skill and also a lot of practice, a lot of experience. You've gained XP along the way, right? Through doing this stuff, you gain XP, and that's how you level up. You know, it's not, you don't just start amazing at all the things, and that would be boring if you did. And then also your emotions probably get to you in a way that like you work yourself up over it. Maybe you get anxiety over it because you're thinking like, how can I do this right? How can I do this perfect? What are the things that I need to do to make this so I don't fail, right? And so you're future forecasting, future pacing the whole time, trying to think, how do you stop it instead of actually being in the moment and being resourceful and wondering like, okay, well, this thing happened. How can I navigate this? Because if you have your goal clear enough, then you can actually, you can bob and weave, you can engage with whatever happens, whatever comes up, and make it into a complicated success, right? You might not be 100% success, but through that trial, through that failure, through that struggle, you can learn a lesson, which is one of the most important things. And then another key area that you might be struggling with is taking actions. Like, which action do you take, right? Deciding which one is the most effective, and also taking those actions, because sometimes we chunk it up so big. It's this massive dragon. How do you slay a dragon? How do you slay a dragon? It's one attack at a time. You're not going to one-shot it, right? You gotta keep chipping away at it until you find that weakness, until you find that missing scale. You know, there's no way around that. And so a lot of times we're like, well, I have this huge goal. I need to change the world, whatever it is. And we're only looking at that. And of course you're going to fail. If you're like, my next step, my next attack needs to completely change the world. It's going to be bad times, right? It's how do I get closer to that? What's the smallest thing, the smaller thing that I can do in order to get closer to that goal, and then just keep working towards that. And so if you're struggling with this and you continue to struggle with this, like, take a second and think about all the things that you won't achieve in your life. That's a horrible feeling, right? Not having the relationship that you want, not having the career, the money, the finances that you want, not making the impact that you know you can, but you haven't because you're afraid of failing. Like, anybody that has changed the world, anybody that has lived a good life has failed. There's no way around it, right? Your teacher for Kung Fu or something like that, like, they have failed. I guarantee it, right? They failed a bunch. And yet they've learned through that to be better. And if you're afraid of failing, then you're always going to be a wipeout. You're never going to progress. Or even if you do progress, it's just going to be superficial, and inside you're just going to be this hollow wreck. Making yourself okay with failing is one of the best things that you can do to build this robustness of yourself. And if you're still unsure how to do that, you can go to bio.geekpsychology.com, scroll down, click on courses, and go buy No More Fear of Failure. It's a mini course that I made. It helps you with your mindset, your emotions, your actions, and it also brings in a hypnosis track that helps a lot with putting yourself in the right mindset to take those actions and to do those things that you know you need to do in order to make your life better and thus play life better. Keep up the lifelong questing. Good luck. Have fun. Peace.